You're watching Eye on Africa here on France24. I'm Julia Kim, and these are the headlines on the continent. The 14th of November is World Diabetes Day. The disease affects over 400 million people globally. In Africa, 3/4 of people with diabetes don't even know they have it. Cameroon's President Paul Biya announces a special status for English-speaking regions in an effort to appease the 3-year Anglophone separatist conflict that's left thousands dead and displaced. And shedding its elitist image, the world's first opera in Pidgin English debuts in Nigeria. Its creator says she wants more Nigerians to enjoy the musical genre. But first, today is World Diabetes Day, and it's estimated that over 400 million people live with this chronic, incurable disease. It occurs when the pancreas doesn't produce enough insulin or when the body is unable to use the insulin it produces. The number of people with diabetes has quadrupled in the past 35 years, and in Africa, it's become a new health priority. More than 3/4 of people with diabetes on the continent are thought to be undiagnosed. The disease is a gateway to a host of complications, including heart attacks, strokes, kidney failure, and blindness. But although controlling diabetes is relatively simple, in some countries, access to life-saving insulin is very complicated. Well, earlier I asked Swathi Iyengar from the World Health Organization why we're seeing such a rapid increase of diabetes in Africa.
I mean, this is the sort of epidemiological transition, right? I mean, now we have immense globalization happening, across low and middle income countries. It's not only just a case where the burden of disease in Africa are just outbreaks. You actually have more and more people with higher body mass. And ultimately, these sort of messages of health promotion as well now need to be adapted in order to ensure that people also have healthy lifestyles.
Now, there's an ample global supply of insulin. Why is access to it so difficult for so many people?
Well, one of the issues is the lack of competitors, right? I mean, the market for insulin is rather small and it's dominated by just a few. So ultimately, even though insulin may be certain insulins might be off patent, just because of the few quality manufacturers that we have, it kind of creates an oligopoly, if you will.
And what are the particular challenges, for example, on the continent for access to insulin? For example, I was reading that in Ghana, for someone to be able to afford insulin treatments, it would be something like 20% of their monthly income. Why is it so expensive over there, for example?
It's a number of different issues. I mean, ultimately, governments have to procure these medicines, and because the prices are so high, and you also might have some other issues with controls on the supply chain. For instance, insulin requires cold storage. So there are a number of different issues, but much of it kind of is derived from the fact that the market is just not that large.
And so, of course, we're seeing diabetes increase rapidly in low and middle income countries. What can we do about this?
Well, one of the things is to actually get people proper treatment. And as you mentioned in our report, we said that for instance, in Ghana, this could cost up to 20% of a minimum wage worker's income. Now, you also consider people suffering from diabetes also might be suffering from other conditions like hypertension. And this is, at the end of the day, a considerable amount of money that a person may need to spend out of their own pocket just to stay alive, not to mention the money that they could be using to send their kids to school or get transportation to go to work or put food on the table. So ultimately, we need to be able to actually increase access to treatment by making the prices lower so that people can actually get it when they need it.
On now, and 10 billion